Well, hello everyone out there in Head Couch Analyst Football Land. I am your host, Sanders, and as usual, I'm joined by Pardue. Before we start, the podcast, I just want to wish everyone out there a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. If you don't celebrate any of those seasons at all, then happy holidays, because that's the general one to say to everyone. That being said, I'd like to get over to my co-host, Pardue. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I got the rest of the week off, so I'm chilling. My holiday shopping is done, so I'm going to be relaxing the rest of this week till Christmas. I'm going to sit at home, play some video games all week, and chill out. Good news, the wife got really sick over the weekend, had been running a fever, broke out in hives. Luckily, she tested negative for COVID-19 this morning, so we're doing good. So Christmas plans are still on, luckily. So we're doing good, man. We're doing good.
Yeah, it's good to hear. So this weekend, we had some wild things happening. There's one thing I guess we should just talk about since it's kind of the elephant in the room right now. Let's talk about the loss that the Pittsburgh Steelers had to the Bengals last night. At one point, this game was 17-0, and the score ended a lot closer. I'm pretty sure Mike Tomlin lit a fire under their ass or whatever. And at one point, it's like, oh, they're gonna come back. This is fine, right? But the game ended 27-17. Not good. Not good for the Steelers. My only takeaway from this was I understand a lot of people are saying, hey, they have no running game. But really, I just think it's just they just don't have much of an offense, to be honest with you. I still think they miss Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. Not that those guys would be as elite as they were, but there's something to be said for the chemistry that was going on when the Killer Bees existed, and there's also something to be said for Le'Veon Bell running behind that kind of line and staying in that kind of system. Juju Smith would be a lot better with Antonio Brown on the field. I'm not trying to bring up old history. This is a couple years ago now. It's past the Steelers, and it's pretty much past everyone. But they certainly miss that number one receiver factor, and they really miss a shifty running back like Le'Veon Bell, right? It doesn't have to be Le'Veon Bell, and it doesn't have to be Antonio Brown. But, Deontay Johnson hasn't made up for it. He's made some wild plays, but he hasn't been consistent. There's Claypool. And James Conner is constantly hurt, so this offense is really looking for a role player that could be an X factor, and they just don't have it. And I think that's Pittsburgh's biggest problem.
Right, yeah. Kind of like what you're saying. They don't have a player that can carry the offense when need be. Like when everybody else is cold, a guy who can provide a spark or, just carry the offense for a game. They don't have that, and I think that really holds their offense back. They're a team that really heavily relies on their defense to give them short fields and give them good opportunities to score, or otherwise they're going to struggle. And you saw it against a bad Bengals team with Ryan Finley as their quarterback last night. Good for Cincinnati fans. That was an early Christmas present for them. And I know I got family in Ohio who are Bengals fans, and they were super thrilled that they beat the Steelers last night. So I'm happy for them. But, yeah, I don't want to get too far into my Steelers, into the Steelers right now because I wanted to hit something on them a little bit later in the pod on the Passing from the Couch segment. But, yeah, man, they're looking rough heading into the final 2 weeks of the season, and it could spell doom for them in the playoffs.
So here's a question I wanted to give you. Does this win save Zach Taylor's job?
Honestly, I don't think he should have been out of a job in the first place.
He was kind of on the hot seat, though. It seemed like he was.
Maybe he was.
Because they weren't winning with Joe Burrow anyway.
Right. But I think there's more to that than just Joe Burrow. This Bengals roster is pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
They got some decent weapons on offense, but that offensive line is
atrocious.
2018 Cardinals bad. They're the worst offensive line in the league next to the Eagles, if you ask me. And that's saying a lot. So I don't think Zach Taylor was going to be out of a job yet because we saw how good Joe Burrow was playing in this offense prior to him getting hurt. So I think you still get one more year. So I think if the Bengals go out and get maybe a couple more weapons on offense to continue to bolster their defense and fix that offensive line in the offseason, or at least improve it to make it serviceable, you got to give Zach Taylor one more chance to, see what he can do with an actual, like, decent enough roster. I think he's a decent coach. And, I mean, you saw that last night. He out-coached Mike Tomlin. So I certainly don't think he should be on the hot seat, even if he was. So I don't think it necessarily saved his job, in my opinion. But in the opinion of others, yeah, it probably could have.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing it does is, when Black Monday comes around, and I don't think the Bengals would have cut him anyway simply because Joe Burrow got hurt. Outside of that, though, I think hopefully Cincinnati's front office would be rational, which take away a joke with that if you want to.
Right.
Their front office and rational don't necessarily go together all the time. But if a rational front office, I think, would look at it kind of like what the Cowboys did and said, hey, your quarterback got hurt. It's your first year with him. We'll give you another year, despite a horrible-looking year, right? And I think the benefit that Zach Taylor gets over someone like Mike McCarthy, too, is that this division has Baker, Lamar, Big Ben, and head coaches like Stefanski, who's doing really well, Harbaugh and Tomlin, who have history, right? Both Tomlin and Harbaugh have a Super Bowl under their belt. They're constantly in the playoffs, this is a hard division. This is a tough division. This division is going to have, 3 teams with double-digit wins, and
potentially 3 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, so it's just a hard, it's hard to look at, Zach Taylor and say, hey, you need to match that, right? And that's not going to happen. Now, it's possible for 4 teams to be at double-digit wins, so of course there's something to be said that they're not winning their non-divisional games, but I think you give them a pass because of how bad the roster is and Burrow getting hurt. I was just wondering what you thought, because I know some people were saying, late last night that might have been the game that saved Zach Taylor's job. And I was like, maybe, but I feel like he would have had at least one more year anyway. Cool. What you got for us?
So the news that broke this morning, I obviously don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I think it's like the number one NFL news story as of right now. It's going to be a pretty slow week in terms of news for the NFL, because we all kind of know main storylines right now are playoffs and all that. And with Christmas coming up, there's not going to be a lot going on. Not all the players are really going to be in the facility. But news that broke this morning is our guy, Dwayne Haskins, breaking COVID protocol for the second time this season to go to a strip club after the game on Sunday. And bro, if that isn't evidence enough to show that you are not a franchise quarterback or even worthy of being an NFL player at this point, I don't know what is. I've never liked Dwayne Haskins. I know there's been oddly enough, there's been a lot of Dwayne Haskins defenders. Not really sure why.
I thought that was kind of odd too.
I know. I never really got it. I even saw, it was so funny, pre-draft, I saw, this article and it was like, oh, why the Cardinals should take Dwayne Haskins over Kyler Murray. I'm like, are you joking? And to this day, I still see Dwayne Haskins defenders like, oh, he needs a better offense. He needs a better coach. He needs better this. He needs better that. I'm like, okay, why didn't a guy like Josh Rosen get this excuse then? Because Dwayne Haskins is, honestly, to me, looked just as bad, if not worse. I don't get it. I don't think he's a good player in this league. I don't think he's ever going to develop into anything other than a backup, and even then, that might be a stretch. I don't know what you think about Dwayne Haskins, but, I mean, that's all I really got on it. It was the number one story of the day so far. So, I mean, it is what it is. That's just my take on him. I think he's a bad teammate. And if you can't even be a good teammate, you're not going to be a good player in this league.
I mean, if people might see this as bad analysis, and maybe it is, but it's an opinion that I hold, and one that is backed up by a ton of historical evidence. The truth is that he's an Ohio State product, and if you're a quarterback from Ohio State, you're going to suck in the NFL. It's just fact. We've never, as an Ohio State fan, I've never watched any of our quarterbacks ever succeed at the NFL level playing quarterback. They get a shot and they start some games. Terrell Pryor comes to mind. Dwayne Haskins, and then the third guy, Cardale Jones, comes to mind. But they've all been awful. Cardale Jones was awful with the Bills. Mm-hmm. Couldn't even make it as a backup with the Chargers. Terrell Pryor converted to wide receiver because he was bad at quarterback. And
he had one good season as a receiver.
Yeah, he did with Washington, actually. And then Dwayne Haskins sucks too. And I understand there's a lot of hype for Justin Fields, but let me tell you right now, I'll believe it when I see it. That's how I feel, right? Like, I'll believe it when I see it, dude. Like, Justin Fields is really great with Ohio State, but you know how many quarterbacks have been really great with Ohio State, and then they're absolute bums in the NFL? Mm-hmm. You know, part of that's Urban Meyer coaching, part of that's Ohio State defense, which is always baller. Right. Like, players that come from Ohio State defense are always Pro Bowl level players in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And then there's also been running backs like Ezekiel Elliott, J.K. Dobbins, and, you know, these types of players who really help those kind of quarterbacks, right? Like, mm-hmm. You know, and then when you separate the quarterback from the team, it's like, oh, it was always the team, never the quarterback in college. And you also have to remember that there's a lot of college players on defense that get exposed very easily simply just to athleticism. And people like Cardale Jones, Terrell Pryor, and Dwayne Haskins have a lot of athleticism. They're just really bad at playing quarterback, and that doesn't work in the NFL.
Now, I agree with everything you're saying wholeheartedly. And like you said, I'll believe that an Ohio State quarterback is going to be good at the NFL level when I see it. I think the difference with Justin Fields, though, is the timing he's coming into the league and his athletic ability, I think, is also at a higher level as well matched with his quarterback ability. I think out of all the prospects you mentioned coming out of Ohio State from the quarterback,
I mean, Justin Fields position, is the best of the four.
Justin Fields is by far the best. And when I say timing, now is the best time to be a quarterback in the NFL. Because no matter who your coach is, no matter who your offense is, almost every single one of them is going to adapt their offense and build it around you. And we're seeing more and more that teams are going to more athletic, faster, younger, dual threat quarterbacks. We're seeing it with Kyler. We're seeing it with Jalen Hurts now. The list goes on. So I think that's going to be to Justin Fields' benefit. Now, whether or not he gets drafted by the right team, in the right situation, in the right coach, is remaining to be seen. Because right now he's on track to be a Jet. And, I mean, I doubt Adam Gase is going to be there. So we'll see who they hire as a coach. But I hope for Justin Fields' development in future, they get an offensive-minded coach to build an offense around him.
I'll have my thoughts on that one because it's part of my passing from the couch segment. So,
all right.
You got anything else for this week?
Yeah. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, I just wanted to mention him real quick because, my God, dude, this guy is going to be good. And I know it's just 2 games.
Oh no, he will be. He will be.
I get that, but he is going to be so good. To see a rookie like that in a 2-minute situation, fumble the ball, pick it back up, and throw it for a completion on a 15-yard comeback in that situation, just the wherewithal, that was incredible to me. And just the way he played the entire game. And the Cardinals limited his mobility and his, chances to run the football. And he passed from the pocket. And he excelled. And that was one thing that I was like, okay, I thought Jalen Hurts was a decent prospect coming out, but I think he had like the lowest chance out of all the quarterbacks, even Jordan Love, to be successful in this league. And that's just what I thought, because I felt like he relied too much on his legs, and he was too much of a running quarterback. And I mean, Lamar's getting away with it, so I mean, who knows? But that's just what I thought. So, but to see him go out there and torch the Cardinals secondary with his arm and just play excellent quarterback football, it was really great to see. And I think the Eagles got their guy for a long time. And, it's a shame for Carson Wentz, this situation that, happened and how it unfolded for him. But, man, this Jalen Hurts guy is going to be really, really good.
I agree.
And it kind of just goes to show, like what I was just saying, like this is a great time to be a quarterback in the NFL. especially a young athletic quarterback, because teams are tailoring their offense around you right now. And it looks like through 2 games that Jalen Hurts is the perfect fit for this Eagles offense.
Yeah, it might be early, mostly because Tua is starting to give me very, very, very big Mariota vibes. That is what he gives me right now. He gives me very big Mariota vibes right now. But it is too early, but it might be possible that this year's quarterback class will be like the 2018 class. Very good.
We haven't even seen Jordan Love yet.
Tua, Herbert, Burrow, and now Hurst. It all looks pretty good. I'm going to be honest, dude. I'm not buying the whole Jordan Love thing. I did not like him in college. I mean, I know I'm not like a big college person, but I still have looked at their film and whatnot. I didn't really like him, coming out of BYU, and I'm not sure. I mean, it's Packers, so maybe the Packers are doing something right. I really don't know, but he's learning behind Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know if Jordan Love is it. Now, I'm saying this right now, and he could totally blow it out of the water, in a season or 2 seasons from now, and I could be totally off. But I'm not. I need to see it first, I guess. Right? At least with Jalen Hurst, I was like, you know what? He's an Oklahoma quarterback. He did fine with Bama, and then he did, good with Oklahoma. I at least liked Jalen Hurst's prospects. Not Jalen Hurst's prospects. Even if they seemed a little off. But, I mean, Oklahoma's been producing quarterbacks for the last 3 years now. I mean, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurst. It's a pretty good track record right now. And they were all in 3 consecutive years, so it's not like the offense drastically changed. And Oklahoma's been putting out a lot of offensive firepower in the last, 5 years, I think, in the NFL?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Receivers, offensive line, quarterback, like just all phases of the offense. Oklahoma kind of dominates right now when it comes to getting some playmakers. I mean, Alabama's good too, but like Oklahoma's definitely
not on the level that Oklahoma is.
Oklahoma's definitely where it's at right now, I feel. So... yeah, we'll see what happens with Jalen Hurts, but I keep saying his name wrong. Jalen Hurts. Is it Hurts or Hurst?
Hurts.
Hurts. Okay, because I feel I feel like I said his name wrong so many times. Yeah, I like him. Unfortunately for Carson Wentz, Hurts is the QB, and I think it's funny that they're saying, "Hey, we're going to announce the quarterback every week," and I'm like, "Why?"
I know, right? It's so obvious.
Just say it's Hurts. He's obviously the juice. He's the juice that you need, right? And he's not the reason you're losing. He's the reason you have a chance. So, yeah, Jalen Hurts is good. I agree. I don't think it's irrational to say that he should stick around long term. He has the ideal quarterback kit right now.
All right. I mean, in terms of this week, that's all I got for takeaways.
Cool. All right. So I want to start with my check down for our passing from the couch segment, and mine is very obvious, and I was telling it to you before we started the show, but and it gets really annoying to hear about him. I agree, his face is everywhere, but there's a reason his face is everywhere, and it's because Patrick Mahomes is that good. He's just that good. The dude throws 3 interceptions, and his team is scoring 33 plus points. Now that's just a team effort, but even on a bad day, it's not the worst day in the world for him. I understand he has a track team around him. I understand he has like the best big-bodied target in the NFL. That's all true. All of it's true. But remember, Patrick Mahomes was this good before these things were true. He was really good in the one game he started his rookie season. He was MVP his sophomore year. He was even better in his third year and won a Super Bowl. And this year, he plays like a... Here's the best way to describe it. In my head, a lot of people say Lamar Jackson is a video game on the field, but if you ask me, the real video game on the field is Patrick Mahomes, not because of his like juke moves or his mobility or flashiness, but simply because he's able to like run to the left, which, by the way, is a terrible idea for right-handed quarterbacks. He's able to run to the right, make this style of jump to give his body some momentum, and still launch the ball like 40 yards.
And do you want to know why he can do that?
Hold on. It's a baseball thing, I know, but like outside of Aaron Rodgers, I don't think any other quarterback can do that. Like, I don't even think Murray could do that. And it's no discredit to Murray, right? It's just Mahomes and Rodgers are otherworldly talented. And every time I watch Patrick Mahomes, I'm just reminded of, oh yeah, this is why his face is everywhere. This is why he is a $500 million man. This is why he's co-owner of the Kansas City Royals as a fucking 24-year-old. Because he's that good. And if he continues this path, right? This is no disrespect to Tom Brady, but he might end up as the greatest of all time. That is really early to say, and we need to wait at least another 10 plus years to start having that conversation. But he certainly looks like the next guy. I mean, after Dan Marino retired, right, who was considered probably one of the greatest of all time, Joe Montana came around, who was considered the greatest. Then Tom Brady has come around, and Tom Brady's at the end of his career, right? And Patrick Mahomes is coming in. We are at the next best quarterback of the generation. He's here to stay and talk about it. So that's my check down. It's a very easy thing to talk about, but I know a lot of people are sick of hearing about him. They're sick of seeing him. They're starting to call him overrated because of all the talent around him, but quite honestly, he's just that good. There's no denying it. Anyways, what's the thing you were going to say about it being a baseball thing?
Yeah, it's a baseball thing, because I'm pretty sure he played shortstop, and especially when you have a ball that's rolling deep in the hole, that's how you're going to get up and throw it every single time. So it makes total sense, and that's why Kyler can get away with stuff like that too, and throwing from different and weird arm angles. It's all baseball. So I think that's something that's really helped Kyler and Patrick Mahomes, excel at such a young age in the NFL. Kyler just got elected to his first Pro Bowl in his second year. So I think that's something that's actually really intriguing, and I think that's something that teams should continue to look for in future quarterbacks.
Russell Wilson's another example.
Russell Wilson. I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers did too, didn't he?
Did he? I have no idea if Aaron Rodgers played baseball.
It might not have been at a major level in any way, maybe not in college or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere he played baseball at some level, and I think the development's there, and it makes sense because Aaron Rodgers can throw from any arm angle too. So I think that's something that really sets these guys apart.
He played baseball all the way through high school.
Mm-hmm.
He played shortstop and pitcher.
That makes sense. That makes complete sense.
So, fun fact, he also played basketball. I don't know. Usually athletes are just athletes, right? They just play whatever sport.
Right.
Like one of my kids at the school I teach, Hamilton High School, he's already committed to, I want to say, Texas Christian University, TCU. Is it Texas Christian? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. It's one of the Big 12s. Really huge for baseball. He's a pitcher, right? And he's already committed as a sophomore in high school.
Oh, geez,
Yeah. No, dude. There are Major League Baseball scouts looking at him, thinking about drafting him out of high school.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, he's really good. I sit there and I'm like, yeah, you're pretty good at geometry, right? But then I look at him on the baseball field and I'm like, wow, it don't matter. Your academics don't matter. You're gonna play baseball.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time either that an elite, baseball players come out of Hamilton, because Cody Bellinger played there too.
Yeah, Cody Bellinger played there too.
He just won a league MVP, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he did. I think we've had 4 elite level players come from there. It's a good baseball program. But I have 2 of those kids. They're both actually in the same class, Ryan and Josh. But Josh, more specifically, who I was talking about, Ryan, he's not really much of an athlete outside of baseball. I think he's committed to, I want to say UCLA, but I forget. But Ryan's already committed as well, and according to baseball staff at my high school, Ryan and Josh are the 2 best players on the varsity team, and Ryan's got Major League scouts looking at him too. But Josh, he plays backup quarterback for our football team, right? So going to my point that Aaron Rodgers played basketball, baseball, football. Athletes usually, if you are an athletically gifted person, you have your main sport. Like Aaron Rodgers did football, but you also played like basketball and baseball. And, like my kid Josh, who is a pitcher, he plays backup quarterback, right? And I doubt he'll play football in college. It doesn't seem like it's something he's interested in. He said he just plays football to stay in athletic shape for baseball. And I'm like, well, that makes sense, I guess. And he only plays backup, so it's not like he's getting pounded, right? I think he played only 3 games this season when our starter was hurt, so yeah. Sorry for that little side tangent to everyone. I can make sure to note in the video. You can skip the next minute and a half. But back onto Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Wilson, Kyler, all of them. Yeah, I would say that part of it has to be, if you were a baseball player, you've probably got that type of arm. But am I wrong in saying I think Mahomes does it better than like any of those guys outside of maybe Rodgers?
No, I would even say Mahomes is better
than Rodgers.
I mean,
like as a quarterback, I agree, but in terms of those kind of throws,
I would say it's close, but
I think I'd still give it to Rodgers, possibly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I would say it's pretty close.
I think there's a reason like Rodgers is called the Michael Jordan of quarterbacks because there's a debate on whether Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time or if he wasn't an elite player who was a product of other good players coming in, because there was a time when Jordan was elite, but it wasn't until like certain players came around in basketball that he went to all those championships and dominated as much as he did. But Rodgers is kind of like on that same pedestal, like he's very athletically gifted, right? For a guy who looks very skinny, does not look like he has big arms. Rodgers consistently impresses me with how far he can throw the ball every time. So I think that's all I got for my check down. Patrick Mahomes is way too good. Get used to it. It's going to be around for the next 10 plus years, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. So for me, my check down, this one's probably pretty obvious. But Minshew Mania and the Sam Darnold era in their respective cities are all but over at this point. When you have in Minshew's case the mayor of your town tweeting out like, thank goodness the Jets lost their game. Now we have, the path to, the best quarterback prospect of all time. This could be game changing for our football club. When you have the mayor of your town tweeting that, it's kind of obvious at this point that nobody's really got your back. I feel bad for Minshew. He looks miserable because he knows he didn't get a chance here, and he's been a good quarterback. You could argue he was better than Kyler his rookie year. Now, I wouldn't say so. The numbers might look better, but the intangibles and the things he was doing on the field weren't. That being said, I don't think Minshew was given a chance. And I think part of the reason why he got benched this year wasn't necessarily because he wasn't good. It was because they were like, well, we don't want him to be our guy. And I honestly think that. And with Darnold, he's got the worst coach in the league and no weapons on offense. He was given no chance as well. And at this point, even if they don't end up with the number 1 overall pick, which seems pretty kind of a stretch at this point, with 2 weeks left, you're probably going to take Justin Fields just so you can have him more athletic and just to change the scenery and maybe get a coach in that can, tailor an offense to Justin Fields' strength. But I think at this point, between Minshew, who I think deserves way better, and Darnold, who I think could still succeed in a different situation, they're done in their respective cities. And it's unfortunate because I don't think either of them were really given a chance.
Yeah, I agree. I would say Darnold was like, quote unquote, given a chance, but he is not a quarterback who can be better than bad coaching. Right? Like Trevor Lawrence, maybe I'm just sick of hearing his name, but I feel like he's starting to get overhyped, and maybe not, right? Like I watch his college tape, I'm like, yeah, it's impressive, but I never let college tape make me drool over a player because I know it doesn't always translate, right? But Trevor Lawrence is being talked about in such a way that they're saying he's the best prospect since John Elway and Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what I was about to bring up too. Is like nobody's talked about a quarterback prospect like this since Andrew Luck, and we saw what Andrew Luck
and both John Elway and Andrew Luck were amazing. Andrew Luck would be a Hall of Fame quarterback if he didn't retire so early.
And I know we talk about it all the time how much we miss Andrew Luck, but man, do I miss Andrew Luck?
Oh, I do. I do. He was literally one of my favorites to watch. The Colts failed him. They 100% failed him.
Mm-hmm. I still have like some little pipe dream that he comes back and plays for a team. It wouldn't be low key kind of awesome if he just became a Patriot this offseason.
It'd be kind of wild.
That being said, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be the real deal at this level. I think playing in the conference he is, in the ACC, which is the second best conference in the league, or in college, and just the things he's accomplished since he's been there, I think it would be hard to not translate. With the way we've been seeing quarterbacks come out recently, and I mean, who knows, maybe he does fall on his face at the NFL level, but I just think he's going to be the next guy.
Back to the original point, which was Gardner Minshew and Sam Darnold. I think Minshew's probably a backup at this point. Not that I don't like what he's put out on the field, but I think right now maybe he elevates into a starter again. Maybe he has like a Tannehill style of career archetype, right? Or who was another guy who went from backup to starter for a while? I forget his name. What? Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner. It's true.
It wasn't
he
Carson
was
Palmer.
Groceries.
It wasn't Carson. I forget who it was, but there was a guy who was a backup and then he became a starter. And it's not Tannehill. It's not. I mean, Warner is
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith. That's it. That's who. Why did I go blank on that? Alex Smith. Maybe they can have like that style of career, because I liked what I saw from Gardner, but he needs to be controlled, and I don't think he's controlled. And Sam Darnold makes some really cool plays, makes some really good throws that I know we say this for a lot of QBs, but it's true. Darnold makes some throws that like not a lot of quarterbacks can make. Like he makes a throw and like maybe 13 other guys can make that throw, right? And Darnold needs to be harnessed as well, but not in like an uncontrolled manner. I think he just needs to be taught how to not make mistakes, which is why I so badly want Sam Darnold to go to San Francisco. I think Kyle Shanahan is a perfect fit for him. Of all the quarterbacks that could go there, Minshew, Wentz, Darnold, I think Darnold is the matchup I like in San Francisco, but we'll see what happens. And that's also writing off Jimmy G. It's quite possible they keep Jimmy G around. I really don't know. So
I think if they were to go the Darnold route, Jimmy G would be kept around just in case, because personally, I don't think any team, given the way Darnold's career has gone so far, would just immediately want to make him the starter. So in that situation, I think Darnold goes to a place with maybe not necessarily an established quarterback, but a quarterback he's not going to start over right away, and then probably works his way into the starting position. But anyway, that's what I got on my check.
All right, cool. All right, so for my first down completion, and there's really nothing hot about this one either, but I'm essentially triple downing on this take, because I see like so many people saying it's a possibility, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's really not. The Bears still aren't making the playoffs, people. Like.
Ooh, no, I say that's pretty hot, honestly.
I don't think it is. Dude, you know what? You said it was hot when they were 5-1, and I guaranteed they wouldn't make it. And I understand, 6 weeks in, making a guarantee is a terrible idea. It truly is, and I admitted that back in week 6. But the Bears' offense was bad. It was awful, and they look better with Trubisky. I can agree to that to some extent. I truly can, right? But Trubisky's signature win is against the Lions this year. His best win might be against the Vikings, not his signature. A Vikings defense that's not at full strength. I consider me suspicious. I'm having a really hard time buying into this Mitchell Trubisky thing. The one thing that's kind of nagging at me, though, that makes me think, well, maybe Trubisky's turned it around, is he had a very short leash, and he had 2 good games before he got benched. He had a bad half, and he was benched, and we haven't seen him since. And when he's come back, he had a really terrible game against the Packers, but he had a good game against the Lions and a good game against the Vikings. That's 4 games out of 5.5 that he's played solidly, right?
Yeah, I think I said it too. I think they pulled the trigger on benching Trubisky way too early.
Yeah, it was a little early.
Solid, but I think they were just like, oh, we just gave up a 4th-round pick for Nick Foles. He looked bad. Let's just appease the fan base by proving we didn't just waste a 4th-rounder.
And the other thing, too, is that the Packers are going to beat them in Week 17. That's mostly why I have this take.
Here's the thing, though.
The Cardinals have to go 0-2 the next 2 weeks, and the Bears have to at least go 1-1, which is fair because they play the Jaguars this weekend. However, looking at the Packers schedule and the way the rest of the league schedule is, even if the Packers win this week and the rest of the NFC teams stay their course, which it looks like they should based upon scheduling, and anything can happen. Obviously, we saw the Jets beat the Rams, but the Packers are going to have to play on Sunday against the Bears. They're going to have to. It looks like it. They're going to have to. And by that token, I can't remember a time when a Mitch Trubisky-led Bears team ever looked good, ever, against the Packers. It's just never happened.
Now, while I agree with what you're saying for the most part, and maybe this is just me being because I am so nervous right now.
Overly cautious.
Cardinals fan. I am so scared because honestly, given this situation, I know it sounds weird because the Cardinals own the final wild card spot, but I'd rather be in the Bears' position.
All you have to do is beat San Francisco and you're good.
Technically, no. Because
the Bears could go 2-0, but I don't think that's happening.
So, if the Rams have something to play for Week 17, I'm not picking the Cardinals to beat the fucking Rams.
No, neither am I, but I'm saying you make it in at 9-7. I'm saying the Bears are not going 2-0.
See, I don't know. And you saw my tweet yesterday, I'm pretty sure, of my little prayer circle. Or my little witchcraft circle.
Yeah, you want the Jaguars to upset the Bears.
Yeah, that would make my damn Christmas, dude.
It would make the Jets Christmas, too.
Yeah, it really would. But, dude, it's pretty nerve-wracking. And I don't know, maybe it's just me being an abused fan that things just never really go our way, and I don't ever expect them to go our way. And I could see the Cardinals winning out. I could still see the Cardinals,
Dude, if the Jets can beat the Rams, so can you, right?
Right. And maybe if they just have that energy, Week 17, and the Rams are playing the starters, maybe we just somehow pull it off. But I'm not picking them to do it. And I could see a world where, the Bears do beat the Packers Week 17. And who knows, maybe the Packers don't have anything to play for Week 17. It's more and more, the more I look at it, it's looking more and more like the Packers will be playing for the number 1 seed still Week 17. So, fingers crossed there. And who knows, maybe we get Jordan Love's first start and he lights the fuck up out of the Bears and the Rodgers era comes to an end, even though I think that's kind of hard to say when Rodgers is going to probably end up being the MVP this season. That's my take. But I don't know, man. I agree with overall what you're saying, but I think it's too close and they still have too much in their favor to completely eliminate them right now. That's just my take.
I said I'm tripling down on it.
That's fair, and I'm glad, maybe you're being the voice of reason and maybe I'm just being overly cautious and panicky. Because, man, I've wanted playoff football for so long. I don't care for a first-round exit, man. I just want to make it, dude. I just want to make it to the dance. So, all right, you got anything else?
Not necessarily on that, no. I just don't see the Bears making it, dude. I really do not.
That's fair. Thanks for helping me calm down a little. But also, it didn't really help. Thanks.
But by the way, I'm looking at it right now. Not to try and scare you or anything like that. But if the Saints do indeed win this week and the Packers win this coming week, it looks like the Packers clinch the number 1 seed, because I have in these predictions that both the Saints and Packers are at 12-4, and the Packers are remaining the number 1 seed at the moment. It's possible they don't have anything to play for week 17.
See, that's the thing, and like I see conflicting stuff everywhere about how this all works, so I don't even know. Like, even I put out some misinformation that the Cardinals were still in the run for the NFC West, and they're not. The way those tiebreakers work is super, super complicated, and I don't quite all understand it, to be quite honest, but I don't know. I don't really know what to believe at this point. I'm just kind of hoping for the best.
So they have to win the Packers have to win one of their final 2 games to get the number 1 seed. That's it. So they just have to beat Tennessee or Chicago. So if they beat Tennessee, they have the number 1 seed, guaranteed. I'm looking at both this playoff predictor, and I just looked up an article on NFL.com that tells me clinching scenarios. So both ESPN's playoff predictor and NFL.com's articles telling me that if the Packers win just 1 game, they clinch the NFC at 12-4. Damn it, okay. That's so fucking stupid. Clinching the NFC at 12-4. I'm mad. I look over and I see that 11-5 might not even be good enough to make the playoffs.
Right.
Oh my god. Yeah, the AFC is fucking stupid this year. It really is. But anyways, yeah. So, I mean, I guess you could just be a Titans fan this weekend.
No, and I am. I really am, and I really hope they pull something off. It's the Sunday night game too, so it's gonna be a really, really important one, and I'm definitely gonna be watching.
You know, there's also a scenario where just because it's a divisional rival game, even if Jordan Love is playing, that they just play Jordan Love to beat them. There's also a case where maybe they don't sit Aaron Rodgers because they know they're gonna have a bye anyway, so they play Aaron Rodgers week 17. Simply so he gets in another game before taking a break off. Because at that point, he would have 3 weeks off if he took week 17 off.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe he at least plays a half or something. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But yeah, it's gonna be messy.
Hey dude, this is meaningful December football. It
right?
Comes down to the wire.
And you're right. You're right. And that's what because during the Cardinals and Eagles game this last week, Cardinals Twitter was having a meltdown with how the game was going. And I was like, and it was as the fourth quarter was starting. I was like, guys, this is meaningful December football. We said at the beginning of the year, we just want to be in the fight at the end. And this is exactly where we are. Let's be happy and enjoy this moment. And it was a magical December football game. So it's exactly what we want. But man, I guess we're just not used to it because, man, is it nerve-wracking.
Oh, yeah.
But, all right, you ready for first down?
I am ready.
You already said your first down, right?
Yeah, this is the Bears one. They said they're still not making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so mine's kind of lukewarm, I would say, but the Steelers and the Seahawks will both be first-round exits. The way they're playing right now, especially the Steelers, they might lose 5 straight to end their season because they got Indianapolis and the Browns, and I wouldn't pick them to beat either of those teams the way they're playing right now. And with the Seahawks, they just don't look right anymore. It seems like I like how in the first, let's say, 6 weeks of the season, Russell Wilson was the absolute lock to win MVP, and now that storyline and that thought process is completely gone out the window, and nobody thinks that anymore. I certainly don't. And you said at the beginning of the season as well that because I said I don't think the Seahawks keep this up, and I was exactly right. Not to shove it in your face or anything, but you said as long as Russell Wilson is playing at this level, they'll be fine. It doesn't matter how bad their defense is. But it turns out that level that Russell Wilson was playing at wasn't sustainable, just like I said. And this defense is still really, really awful and not good enough to win this team games in the playoffs. And while we always like to say that it comes down to the running game and defense in the playoffs, while the running game for Seattle isn't bad, their defense is just so god-awful that I could see any team just lighting them up the first game and it just being over at that point. So in terms of the Steelers, just look at the way they're playing right now. They just lost to the Bengals, and now they're playing two really strong teams to end their season. I have very little faith in their offense to be able to keep up with some of the other offenses in the AFC, that being the Chiefs, the Titans, the Ravens, and even the Browns. The Steelers' offense has relied on short fields a lot this season with their elite defense, and maybe their defense is enough to maybe win the first game, but they won't go on a run. I don't know what you have. I don't know what your thoughts are on them, but at this point, unless they show me something differently in the last 2 weeks, they're done. Their season isn't going to go past the wild card round.
So I'm doing some current, just projections. We're in the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks aren't always that hard to project, but I got Seattle going 1-1. I feel like they lose to the Rams this week, and even if they don't lose to the Rams this week, the Saints still beat them in tiebreakers at 12-4.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it looks like whoever wins the NFC West is locked in for the number 3 seed, no matter what. And let's just say, so Seattle is going to end up playing Los Angeles, Arizona. They couldn't play Chicago. They couldn't play Chicago. Even if Chicago got in, they wouldn't play Chicago. So their playoff matchup is sealed, essentially, if they win the division, to be Los Angeles or Arizona. There was only one case where, if, Los Angeles wins all these games here, and Arizona... Yeah, there actually is not a case where Seattle isn't playing Los Angeles or Arizona. I literally just went through 5 different matchups. They're always playing an NFC West game for the wild card. And I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. Seattle can beat LA or Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
They can.
No, they could.
I
could also see them getting smoked by them, but I don't see Seattle smoking either of those teams. If
they were playing like New Orleans or Tampa Bay, I'd be like, yeah, I agree with you. But I'm with you in the sense that Seattle outside of Washington might be the most vulnerable, and even then, Washington gave Seattle a run for their money with Dwayne Haskins at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's. I would say there's potential for Seattle just to not make it past the wild card round, but even if they do, they're not making it past the divisional round.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's not the worst thought in the world. You've got a point.
All right, you ready for Hail Marys?
Let's go.
You wanna go first or me?
Let's have you take it away since I took the first of the last 2.
Okay, so now while you can argue the Titans, I just don't think they have the defense to match up. With that being said, the Bills are the only threat to the Chiefs in the AFC. And the only threat. I mean that. And it's no disrespect to the Ravens either, but we've also seen the Ravens match up with the Chiefs multiple times, and they just can't keep up. I think the Ravens' issue is they're too much of a run-first team, and if the Chiefs can at least shut that down from the running backs, it's going to be really hard for Lamar to keep it up because you've got to be able to pass on this team, and you've got to be able to strike quickly on this team. And the one team that I can be able to really do it consistently outside the Bills is the Titans, but I don't think their defense would be enough at the end of the day to slow down Patrick Mahomes enough to win. Bills, on the other hand, I can see their defense doing enough to slow down Patrick Mahomes and the Bills. And with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, their running game isn't that great. But like I said, I don't think you need a running game and need to be heavy on the running game to beat the Chiefs. And that's another reason why I think the Titans don't stand much of a chance against the Chiefs, is because that offense is so centrally located around Derrick Henry. And don't get me wrong, he's great and all, but again, you need to be able to pass on this team a lot to beat them. And if you're draining your own clock and wasting your own time with Derrick Henry, good luck. And I mean, if you're able to get up on him, you know, more power to you. But even then, like, Patrick Mahomes he's gonna get back in it. He's shown it time and time again. So, to me, Bills are the only threat to the Chiefs, and they're our only chance to not see a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, to be quite honest.
I buy it. Especially because we were talking about before. Like, just they're way too good. The Chiefs are way too good, all around. Coaching, defense, offensive coordinating, roster. They've got it all. They've got it all this year. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say on that because I buy it.
Yeah, it's
right?
just, yeah.
the Chiefs feel impossible to beat. And when you look at the rest of the AFC crowd, all the AFC teams are really good, but Kansas City is just one tier. But like, they're the Super Bowl favorites to win it all, not just be the AFC representative. Like, you compare the rest of the AFC field, and then you look at the NFC field, and you're like, who's beating them? Green Bay? Maybe. That's a big maybe. Yeah. Seattle's not beating them. Arizona, Los Angeles, Tampa Bay, Washington, they're not beating them. New Orleans,
really take a miracle, yeah.
I mean, maybe New Orleans has a massive defensive effort, but I don't see that happening either. Like, I stick by my philosophy that I've had for a year and a half now. You need to score 35 plus points to beat this team. And the only team I see scoring 35 points, I mean, Seattle could do it. You'd have to have Wilson.
With the way Seattle's playing, though, recently,
no,
trust them to do that?
No, I don't. But I'm just looking at what ifs and coulds. Yeah, Green Bay feels the most likely to do that. Out of all these teams. And even then, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It feels all but wrapped up for Kansas City, and when you say the Bills have the best chance, yeah, I would agree.
Like I said, man, just end the season now. Just wrap it up. Just give the trophy to the Chiefs now.
Gift wrap it as an early Christmas present to the Chiefs. Yeah.
Basically.
Pretty much. Alrighty, so my hot take. I don't know if this is hot or not, but it might be, because the odds of this team making the playoffs is 94% chance right now. They have a 94% chance to make the playoffs. And I'm telling you right now, they're not making the playoffs. And it's going to be Baltimore. They're not making the playoffs this year.
Oh, jeez. All right, you're starting to sound like Cardinal fans.
It's not even that. It's just I look at the reality of the schedule, right? Let's go to Week 16. And I already talked to you this before, right? Cleveland plays the Jets and the Steelers. There's going to be a point where I think the only meaningful game, there's 6 games, and one of those games, the Titans, Dolphins, or Browns have to lose. And if they lose, Baltimore's in at 11-5. They're not in at 10-6. They actually have to be in at 11-5. So in other words, Baltimore has to go 2-0. But I think they will against the Giants and the Bengals. That's not my issue here. My issue is Miami plays the Raiders and the Bills. They're going to play the Raiders and probably beat the Raiders. I don't see the Dolphins listening to the Raiders. If they do, I will be so freaking happy. But I don't think they will. And then the Dolphins play the Bills, but at that point in time, the Bills will have beaten every AFC team but the Chiefs in tiebreakers, so the Bills will have locked up the number 2 seed. Right? They will have it locked up. There's a high chance they're not going to play hard. So the Dolphins probably win that Week 17 game simply due to the fact they're fighting for their playoff lives and the Bills have the number 2 seed locked up and don't give a shit. Okay, so the 2 Dolphins games I see being 2-0. The 2 Colts games, they played the Steelers and the Jaguars. They're not losing to the Jaguars, I don't think. And if last night was any indication, Indianapolis should kill Pittsburgh. Not just beat them, kill them. That defense should completely run over that Pittsburgh offense, and the Colts offense is good enough to beat the Steelers defense, especially near the end of a game when you're wearing them down. So I got the Colts going 2-0. The only game that's really iffy is the Steelers-Browns game, and maybe this is just me, but I favor the Browns over the Steelers in that game. So I have all 6 games going in favor of the two AFC teams who need to win. 2-0 for Dolphins, 2-0 for Cleveland, and 2-0 for Indianapolis. And this isn't me being negative. This is just like the reality of it. I also have Baltimore going 2-0. But one of these teams has to miss it at 11-5. And the way the tiebreakers go is the only tiebreaker that the Baltimore has over any of these teams is the Colts. And the Colts would be 12-4, not 11-5. So yeah.
Well,
I don't have them making it, dude.
I see what you're saying.
I have them missing it at 11-5.
I think you're missing the NFL factor, and that's just any team can win.
Unpredictability.
And somebody is going to win one of those games, and you guys will be fine. I really do think that. I think you guys will make it. We've seen upsets just this last week. The Jets won a fucking game. Somebody's going to get upset. This is December football, even more so to the point. Anybody's going to win these games. Even the bad teams are going to win some games down here in the stretch. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be close. And, like, look, man, I'm in the same situation with the Cardinals. I'm really anxious of whether or not we're going to make it. And we only need to win one game, technically. But
I guess the difference is if you go 2-0, you control your if you go 2-0, you clinch
right.
you
the
clinch
Cardinals
it.
do control their destiny.
Yeah, Baltimore does not. I have to rely on another team. And as we talked about, relying on another team is not always the best. And what's really sad, what makes me the most sad, is the playoff expansion was made for this reason. And still, I foresee an 11-5 team not making it.
Might not make it, yeah.
And here's the other thing. There's actually a scenario where Baltimore makes it in at 11-5 and the Colts don't make it in at 11-5. So if the Colts lose one of their next 2 games against the Steelers or Jaguars, they won't make it at 11-5 because Baltimore holds the tiebreaker over Indianapolis because they beat them back in Week 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all in all, I see what you're saying, but I just think the NFL factor, especially this late in the season, it's going to play too much of a factor. And I think as long as Baltimore 2-0s, they'll be fine.
Well, you'll know how I feel after this weekend because I think this weekend's the best opportunity because Miami plays Las Vegas and Indianapolis plays the Steelers, and I will be rooting for either the Raiders or the Steelers. If it were up to me and I could control it, I would have the Steelers win because, like I said, I'd rather have the Dolphins in over the Colts, and that's mostly just due to the fact that I want Tua to get some playoff experience, and I want new quarterbacks to do well, right? That's why I also want the Browns in. I just want new quarterbacks. This isn't anything against Philip Rivers, but I want the new blood in. I'm kind of done with the old blood at this point. You'd have Ryan Tannehill, Tua, Baker, Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Like, those are all quarterbacks I can get behind being in the playoff fields. And it's not like Philip Rivers wouldn't be a bad thing. Consider me biased. I like the new, and I want the new in over the old. But as of right now, it looks like Indianapolis is going to beat Pittsburgh this week, and then they beat the Jaguars. So the only game I really see that Browns-Steelers game looms really large. Very large. Yeah. Anyway, I guess we can get to that when we get to that. It's going to be a crazy next 14 days for football.
It really is, man. This is stressful. All right, you ready for picks?
Wouldn't ask for anything worse or better, if you ask me. This is the thrill of football. I remember when I told you I missed the thrill of not knowing because I was being spoiled by 14-2. Yeah, dude.
Well,
Yeah, this is the
Welcome to my world, bud.
Yeah, this is the thrill I missed. Dude, that Monday night game against Cleveland, that's what I miss. I miss not knowing if I'm going to win. Because last year it was always like, oh, we're going to pull it off. Oh, we're going to pull it off. Oh, we're going to pull it off. Right? And then it was just misery when we lost to Titans. There was never there wasn't any like stress in that game because it was very clear Tennessee outclassed us. It wasn't just they upset us, they just outclassed us. Whereas,
that's how I felt about the 2015 NFC Championship game. I kind of felt all day, I was like, yeah, the Cardinals aren't going to be able to keep up. Carson Palmer's finger's fucking broken. We're fucked, and we got destroyed.
By Carolina, yeah.
Yeah.
But that Monday Night Football game, I had no idea. I didn't feel like the Browns were better than us, but I didn't know if we were better than them either. And that's the thrill I love about being a 10-6 style team. I've always loved being the 10-6, 11-5 team and never the dominant one because there's flaws. And watching them overcome flaws is like the most fun thing. Being perfect like it was last year was nice and all, but like I prefer being the underdog. And that's not the mentality thing. It's just the thrill of the game, the adrenaline I get sitting in front of the TV thinking, is this going to happen? Like when it was 4th and 5 and Lamar came out, I was like, this isn't happening, right? I was like, maybe he gets it, maybe he runs it, but like, this is so unlikely. And then when he like threw, the 44-yarder to Marquise Brown, like I jumped off the couch and I was like screaming at him. So I love that about football. It's my favorite part. So like I said, I wouldn't ask for anything more or less. The December football and January football is my favorite when I'm stressed out, I guess. I don't know. I like the pain, I guess.
No, I feel you because like that's how the Cardinals always are outside the 2015 season, which I mean that never happened to me before. So of course that's probably one of my favorite seasons, if not my favorite season of all time, outside probably the Super Bowl season. But yeah, the Cardinals are always the underdog. Even when they're good. So I'm always, thrilled when my team, pulls off an upset, even when they're bad. So that's all part of it. So, I mean, the Cardinals get their little mini Super Bowl every year, even when they have 2 wins. So.
Alrighty, let's go to the picks for this week. So our first game of the week, which is going to be on Christmas Day. Okay, it's going to be a Friday game. We only get one game for Christmas. It's going to be the Vikings and the Saints. Classic.
Wait, so there actually is a Christmas game?
Yeah, it's the Vikings and the Saints.
Oh, I didn't realize. So that's why there's probably no Thursday Night Football this week, too.
Yeah, yep, because we get 1 Friday game, 3 Saturday games, and then Sunday, and then Monday.
Wow, 4 straight days of NFL football.
Hell yeah, brother.
That'll be fun.
And the Monday night game is but whatever.
I mean, hey, it's football, so.
Yeah, football's football, so. Alrighty, so this Thursday, we got the Vikings and the Saints. What do you got on this?
So the Vikings and the Saints, obviously, this is becoming an out-of-division rivalry. This actually should be a pretty fun matchup.
This is the interconference rivalry I was talking about. Like, for that 17th game, you have an interconference rivalry. This would be one, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. With the way the Vikings have really abused and hurt physically Saints fans over the last couple years, or last 3 or so years in the playoffs, and honestly, like, I'm going to say it right now, I'm not picking the Vikings to win this game because I just think they're a little bit too deficient at the moment. But they're going to give them a run for their money. It's going to be a good game. I'm pretty sure this is in New Orleans.
It is.
It's not like home field advantage has much to do with anything, but still you got to travel. It's on Christmas. I'm going to give it to the Saints just because they're at home, and I just think they're the better team right now.
So, Mike Zimmer owns Sean Payton, right? That's how it's happened the last few games. And there's a part of me that's like, hey, Drew Brees looked really, really on Sunday. Really
Mm-hmm.
And it was still...
Now, to be fair, he's coming off a really bad rib injury, and it was his first game back, but that's also kind of how I felt about Drew Brees all year, is he's been
And also, Michael Thomas is out for the rest of the season, until playoffs at least.
That's also a true point.
I kind of hate myself for this, but I'm actually going to pick Minnesota here. I think the better team is New Orleans, and the better roster is New Orleans. And Minnesota should not win this game, but I firmly believe that they're going to, because Zimmer always creates a better game plan than Peyton. So I'm gonna go with the Vikings.
And yeah, and that's totally fair. And like, I could totally see the situation where that happens. I just think with the way the Vikings are playing, they don't really give me a whole lot of faith. And it's not like the Saints do either. But I mean, they lost to the Chiefs last week, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Alrighty, sounds good. So I don't have a lot to say on the next two. So I'm just going to give my pick for both of them. It's Buccaneers, Lions, Cardinals, 49ers. I'm picking both red teams. I guess I can't say that with 49ers. I'm picking... I don't know how to say it. I'm picking the Buccaneers and Cardinals. There we go. Like, I don't think the Lions are going to put up much of a fight against the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers got this. And the Cardinals and 49ers, there's something to be said for a divisional rival, and that the fact that the 49ers know the Cardinals, but I just watched the Cowboys fucking whoop ass against the 49ers. And the Cardinals have also, been doing well the last 2 weeks again. Granted, they played NFC East teams. I don't think that matters because the 49ers just lost. The 49ers just lost to an NFC East team. I don't know if that... correlation does not equal causation in the NFL, but that's kind of what I'm going with here. And the Cardinals just look better offensively the last 2 weeks. Again, they're playing bad defenses, but I think the Cardinals got the momentum here. They should win. They should win this week. So Buccaneers and Cardinals.
That's fair. So for me, I don't have a lot to say on the Buccaneers-Lions game. I think it's better coaching, better players all around. You never know. You might get the shitty Buccaneers team. They just drop a game to the Lions because the Lions still got some weapons, and Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback. So we'll see how it all plays out, but I'm going to go Bucs as well. And then with the 49ers and Cardinals, you mentioned how the last two Cardinals games were against NFC East opponents. And while obviously, yes, the NFC East isn't that good, but you also got to remember that the Cardinals played these two NFC teams, one coming off a win against Seattle in Seattle with Colt McCoy, and then a game against the Eagles where they just came off a win versus the Saints with Jalen Hurts' first NFL start. So those teams had momentum coming into those games, and the Cardinals just straight up beat them. So,
well, I wouldn't say they straight up beat Philadelphia. That was a wild.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. They dominated the first half, or at least the first quarter, and then it got closer towards the end. But hey, a win's a win.
Yeah, W is a W,
especially at this time of year. So, with that being said, like you said, there's something to be said with an NFC West rivalry. But honestly, when you look at the grand scheme, this isn't much of a rivalry. I know the 49ers won the 2 games last year, but they barely escaped by the skin on their upper lip. So I'm going to take the Cardinals in this one. Obviously, they've won 9 of their last 11 versus the 49ers. They're playing Nick Mullins. Their team is absolutely injured all to hell. Unless the Cardinals just sleep on them or something, I see the Cardinals winning this one fairly easily.
Alrighty, cool. So the next one is just a Saturday night game. This should be a fun one. It's the Dolphins and the Raiders. I think the Raiders got a shot, but ultimately I'm going to give it to the better coach team, better roster. Maybe not the better quarterback, but I mean, Tua can compete with Carr or Mariota. Barring some Mariota magic, which, by the way, Carr technically could play this Saturday night, but the injuries 10 to 14 days, and that was on a Thursday, and this is going to be this Saturday. It's possible for Carr if he's on the 10-day spectrum, which technically would only be 9 days, but, he could play. I'm betting Mariota plays, though. We're recording this on a Tuesday, which we never do. We don't have any news in the NFL right now because the Pittsburgh Bengals game was just last night. I'm betting Mariota plays, but I don't think it matters which quarterback plays. I think the Dolphins win this game. Mariota might give him a slightly better chance simply because there's not film on him in this Raiders offense outside of Thursday, but who knows? I just don't trust Mariota, dude. I really don't. I think Dolphins win this no matter who's playing quarterback, to be honest.
That's fair. That's fair. But I'm actually going Raiders here.
Hey, I'd be so happy, dude.
No, and that's what I'm saying. So, obviously, John Gruden's going to have a good game plan. He's going to set up his team for success. This Raiders team's got weapons on offense. They got Darren Waller. And I know overall, yes, the Dolphins probably the better coach team, probably the better roster, probably the better quarterback. But even like you said, Tua's giving you Mariota vibes. And now he's going to face Mariota probably? And we saw what Mariota just did in this offense last Thursday.
Give him some juice, a little bit.
He gave it some juice, and he actually looked really well.
I think that's
looked really good.
I also want to say I think that's the product of two different game plans. Derek Carr and Mariota are not similar in style.
Right.
So I think the defensive game plan that the Chargers had going in for Carr, right? And suddenly you're being asked to say, hey, Mariota's a running quarterback. We need to flip the script on our defensive game plan, and we did not prepare for this, right? And Gruden was also calling plays he's never called under Carr, right? Like, I'm sure he had a Mariota, like, I'm sure he has 9 plays that says, okay, this is what we run with Mariota, right? Obviously, you run Derek Carr plays with Mariota, but he probably had 9 specific plays or 10 specific plays in the playbook that was like, this is Mariota only in case he has to go in. So
you're probably right.
I also think that's part of it. Because notice how Mariota cooled down in the second half.
Now, you're probably right on there, but I think that's also something that might work into the favor of the Raiders in this game, is because now the full game plan will be centered around Mariota more likely than not.
It's possible.
So I think that works in their favor. I think John Gruden really likes Mariota. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have signed him.
Yep.
He also really likes Nathan Peterman, though. So, I mean, who knows? So, we'll see how it all goes. I think the Mariota gives them a good chance, to be quite honest. And it's not that Derek Carr doesn't, because you know how I feel about Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr. I think Mariota gives this offense some juice, and I think John Gruden will have a good game plan for him, and I think they pull it off.
All right, cool. So the next one is the Steelers and the Colts. Of course, me, the internal bias on the inside, is praying that Mike Tomlin fucking lights their ass up this week in practice, doesn't even give them today off, and says, you need to be ready for Indianapolis. This is in Heinz Field, by the way, on a Sunday morning. However, the Colts, I think, are the better team. Philip Rivers has been playing pretty well, actually, this latter half of the season. And this Colts defense is pretty hard to get by, and I can't see this incompetent Steelers offense getting by without some sort of unforeseen juice from a player that steps up, like Claypool or Johnson or something like that. So I think this game really favors the Colts, and I'm picking the Colts.
Yeah, I'm also going Colts here. I just, with the way the Steelers have been playing, it's really hard to be confident in picking them. That being said, I just think the Steelers are the Colts are just the better, more well-rounded team. I think the Steelers are too defensive reliant. So I'm just gonna go.
Just gonna go with Indianapolis. Sounds good to me. Okay, so he cut off for a second. Luckily, I was gonna take the next 3 or 4 games anyway. So I'm gonna just keep going until Pardue comes back. So we have the Chiefs and the Falcons, Jaguars and the Bears, Texans and the Bengals, and the Ravens and the Giants. I'm going to go over these next 4 pretty quickly because we've already talked about the Chiefs enough. I would say the Chiefs are going to beat the Falcons. It's just what's going to happen. I don't foresee a scenario where the Falcons upset the Chiefs. The Bears are going to beat the Jaguars. I said it last week that the Jaguars might be the worst team in the NFL, and hey, look at that, the Jets won a game. So there's merit to me saying the Jaguars might be the worst team in the NFL. So I got the Bears there. As for the Texans, Bengals, I'm definitely going with the Texans here. Bengals, despite the upset against the Steelers.
Hey, I'm back, by the way.
Yeah, I know you are. I saw. I said I was going over the next 4 games, so
okay.
I definitely got the Texans-Bengals here, mostly because of Deshaun Watson, and they put up some fight. By the way, Deshaun Watson, real quickly, has had quite a season for being on a terrible roster. He's had a really good season. Like when you watch him, like I was going over I was going over a lot of film yesterday, and I was like, what's up with Deshaun Watson? Right? I watched specifically Deshaun Watson. I didn't watch the Texans as a team because I already know they're bad. But I'm like, where is Deshaun Watson at? Like, is he part of the problem? Is he having a down year? Is he creating bad habits because he's playing on a bad team? Is he going full Carson Wentz, trying to be a hero? He's not. He's still playing smart. He's playing really good ball, and he's the reason the Texans actually stay in games. Like, Deshaun Watson's great, dude. And because of that, I think they'll beat Cincinnati. And then for the fourth game, which is another blowout, I feel, Baltimore should beat New York. Whether Colt McCoy or Daniel Jones is playing doesn't matter. The Giants' offense is not good enough right now to beat the Ravens, I think. So I got Chiefs against Falcons, Bears against Jaguars, Texans against Bengals, and Ravens against Giants. You got anything to say on those 4 games at all?
So go through them one more time.
Chiefs and Falcons?
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs.
Bears and Jaguars?
Honestly, just to kind of put it into the world, and so the witchcraft can hex the Bears, I'm going Jags.
Wait.
I know it's a dumb pick.
Wait, just because you're being biased? Okay, cool.
Yes, I know it's a dumb pick, but I'm putting it into the universe because I need it to happen. And then, what was the next one?
Texans, Bengals.
Texans, Bengals. Honestly, I know Deshaun Watson's been really damn good, but Bengals.
Ooh, that's fire. That's
what I'm saying. Like, some of my picks are going to be a bit controversial this week. And
why?
It's because it's December
why?
football. They just beat the Steelers. Who knows? Maybe they carry that momentum.
Okay.
Like I said, you got to make some risky picks if you're going to pull away. And I came back from 4 down earlier this season, and I went 14-2 last week making some risky picks. So, kind of got to do it again. So,
right. Sounds
I'm
good.
Go Bengals.
All right, Ravens, Giants.
And then, yeah, Ravens, Giants. I'm just going to go Ravens.
All right, cool. Well, I already know one game we're going to disagree on this week. Like, I just know. The next one is Browns, Jets. Okay, so Jets got their win. Woohoo. I mean, I can't just say they're coached by Adam Gase, so they're going to lose anymore, because obviously they won a game now. So let me provide some real in-depth analysis on the Jets. They have a bottom 2 roster, and the Browns are a team with a lot of momentum going into their first double-digit win season since 2007. And it's not guaranteed they make the playoffs still. These Browns are fighting for their playoff lives compared to the Jets, who probably want to lose still as an organization. So, Browns. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not picking the Jets, obviously. I don't care that they won a football game. It's Browns.
Okay, so the next one is a little interesting. It's the Washington football team versus the Panthers. I got the Washington football team here. I actually have them finishing 8-8. I think they're going to beat the Panthers and Philadelphia. But despite the Panthers being feisty, I don't think they're good enough to beat Washington, who has really stepped up. Like, this team almost beat Seattle with Dwayne Haskins at quarterback. I don't think it matters who's at quarterback for this game. Kyle Allen, Dwayne Haskins, Alex Smith. I'm pretty sure Washington wins this game against Carolina.
Yeah, agreed. I'm also picking Washington here. I know Carolina, like you said, is a feisty team. They got a pretty decent roster, especially offensively, but it's obviously just not coming together for them. As long as Alex Smith is playing this game, yes, I am going with the Washington football team.
All right, what do you got for the Broncos and Chargers?
Yeah, you know how I feel about the Broncos. I think they're honestly pretty terrible. I think it's weird because, yeah, they got some weapons on their team, no doubt, but I'm not a Drew Lock guy. Their defense is pretty suspect, in my opinion. And for the Chargers, they got the better quarterback. They got the better receivers. Austin Eckler. Not much more to say about it. I just think the team's better. Yeah, I'm gonna go Chargers.
Yeah, I got the Chargers here as well. I wanted to pick the Broncos, but Justin Herbert just kind of pushes me over the edge for the Chargers, I think. Mm-hmm. Alrighty, so Eagles Cowboys. So I actually got the Eagles winning this game. I don't know if that's a surprise or not. I mean, theoretically, the Cowboys' record is better, but like, and the Cowboys just dismantled the 49ers. Yet I like the Jalen Hurts factor a lot more, actually. I think the Eagles actually have the worst roster. I think if Carson Wentz was playing this game, I'd pick Cowboys. But the Jalen Hurts factor is really pulling me in, and it might not be enough still. The Jalen Hurts factor might not be enough. I think Jalen Hurts only took this roster from being bad to competitively bad, if that makes sense. And when you're competitively bad, you still lose to, like, the Cowboys, right? And yet, it's a hard game, but I'm going Philadelphia.
Honestly, this one was pretty easy for me. I'm also going Philadelphia because of Jalen Hurts for the most part. Like you said, if it was Carson Wentz playing, I probably would go with the Cowboys here. But I think Jalen Hurts is that good. I also just watched this Eagles team 2 weeks ago with Jalen Hurts at the helm beat the Saints, and then they almost very nearly beat the Cardinals this last week, who are also a playoff contender. So while, yes, this roster is very bad, I wouldn't say they're competitively bad. I would say they're competitive, and they're good enough to, beat a Cowboys team. They're certainly good enough to beat the Cardinals. I thought they were going to beat the Cardinals. So, yeah, I'm going Eagles.
The only reason I say competitively bad is because the rest of the roster is still not good.
I mean, that's fair, but they got a pretty good, front seven defensively. And, I mean, Darius Slay hasn't been that good this year, but he's a decent corner. I think their defense deserves a little bit more credit, but offensively, yeah, they're terrible.
So, yeah, outside of Fletcher Cox, I'm not impressed by their defense, but that's just me. Like you mentioned, Darius Slay. The Lions, at least for this year, won that trade. I feel like he has not been what he should have been. Mm-hmm. So, and I love how Darius Slay was talking trash after like Matt Patricia got fired. I'm like, bro, you ain't even doing good. Shut up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know how corners and wide receivers, they can never hide their personality, like, ever.
Right.
So, I swear, dude, part of me could never be a football player. Like, if I was, I would be a kicker, but part of me could just never be around corners. I feel like I would hear their cockiness way too much, and I'd be like, bro, shut the fuck up.
And honestly, like, Patrick Peterson's going to go down as one of the greatest corners and one of the greatest Cardinals of all time in the grand scheme. But and when he first came into the league, he wasn't quite like that. But after a couple years of success, his attitude completely changed, and he wasn't the same guy anymore. Like, his first 2 or 3 years in the league, I absolutely loved P2. And then just started, like, some of the stuff he says and how he's always seemingly trying to be the center of attention just frustrates the shit out of me. And, like, bro, you're not even that good anymore. Stop trying to, like, be that guy.
I think Stephon Gilmore's my favorite because they say he's just dead silent. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. It's just, you don't say, which is funny because usually wide receivers and cornerbacks are chirpy with each other all the time, right? Like, half of the battle between corners and wide receivers, and this is why they have the attitude they have, is it's a mental game. And if you start winning in the first quarter with a mental game, like, not only physically, but also mentally, you start beating them, right? Then you've more or less won the matchup that day, right? You just got to continue it because you got into their head. So that's why they are the way they are. I get why. Playing defense is a mentality. You have to have the mentality you're better than the person across from you because you have to tackle them, right?
Especially as a corner.
Yeah, the offense
being the most difficult position to play.
The offense doesn't need the mentality of being better because they have the ball, right? They just need to not get tackled. You have to have the mentality in your head that you are bigger and a better athlete than the person across from you because you have to put them on the ground. You have to have...
be a dog.
Yeah, you have to have the personality that you are a better athlete than Derrick Henry to put him on the ground. Right? And if you don't, right, well, then you see what Derrick Henry has done to these players. So,
right.
And that happens with any offense versus, defense, right? You just got to... So I get why it happens, but also... I wish more people could be like Larry Fitzgerald or Stephon Gilmore, but they're so rare. Guys who just dominate and don't talk much. So,
and don't get me wrong, like, I like the talking, I like the trash talk. That's football. But when it gets to a point where you're just like, oh, this guy's trash, this guy's trash, this guy's trash in interviews, when like they've had massive success in the league, that's when you need to just shut the fuck up.
Jalen Ramsey.
Right. When it gets to that point, that's when it frustrates me. When it's on the field. Okay, that's different. You're in the heated competition. But when
Take it off the field.
Yeah, when you're taking it off the field and doing it to the media and not to that person's face, that's when you're just being a bitch. And it's really annoying.
I agree. All right, we got the last three here. I'm actually going to give you two of the last three because I feel like I've taken a lot of them. What do you think about the Rams and the Seahawks, Mr. NFC West?
So the Rams and the Seahawks, like we've kind of been saying, at least I would say for the last couple of weeks, that the Seahawks aren't quite the same team. Russell Wilson isn't quite the same guy he was early on in the season. And I just don't have faith in the Seahawks. And I think, yeah, the Rams lost to the Jets. We get it. This is the NFL. Things happen. I think overall the Rams are still the better team and way, way, way far and away the better defense. I think I'd give the slight edge to the Seahawks offense, but they just haven't seemingly been clicking lately. And if you're going to go up against arguably the best defense in the league, yeah, good luck. I'm going to go Rams here.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm actually going Rams here as well. This is the one I thought we'd disagree on. I thought you were going to go Seattle here. Yeah, I'm going Rams, dude. Yeah, they lost to the Jets, like you said, but I did say I thought this team would finish 4-0. They're obviously not. And yet, 11-5 still feels reasonable to me. I feel like the Rams win their last two games against the Seahawks in Arizona. And it's not like, Seahawks in Arizona are bad or even mediocre. Like, they're both good teams. It's just, I think the Rams' physicality beats both the Seahawks and the Cardinals at the moment. And that's what I like. So I'm going with the Rams. We'll see if my opinion changes next week on Rams-Cardinals, but as of right now, I feel like the Rams finished their season 2-0. But that could change depending on how this week goes. All right, what do you got for Titans-Packers?
So for Titans-Packers, I don't think the Packers get enough credit for how good their offense actually is.
Oh yeah.
People might not know this, but they're the number one scoring offense in the NFL.
Wait. Hold on. You said Packers don't get enough credit. Do you mean the Titans?
Oh, yes. Did I say the Packers? I
Yes,
meant
you
the
did
Titans.
say
The
Packers.
Titans
Okay,
don't
cool.
get enough credit for how good their offense is. They're the number one scoring offense in the NFL, and they're being led by Ryan Tannehill. And obviously, he's not the centerpiece of the offense. Derrick Henry is, and that's the engine that makes that offense go. But Ryan Tannehill has been really, really good this year. Like, really good this year.
Yeah, he was in the MVP conversation at one point in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm. And it's seemingly, honestly, he can make almost any throw. And he's got great receivers in Corey Davis, who's having a breakout year, and obviously A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith. And now when you look over at the other side, it's the Packers, and they're probably the class of the NFC. They got a good defense. They have an elite offense. Aaron Rodgers is probably having, honestly, the best year of his career, which is saying a lot because he is going to go down as one of the best, if not the best quarterback overall of all time. And maybe not in terms of individual accomplishments like Tom Brady and everything, but when it comes from a talent perspective and that alone, I think Aaron Rodgers is right there up there with any of them. And it's always going to be tough to beat him. That being said, I think the Titans have the ability to do so. It's really, really hard to stop Derrick Henry, and if you can't stop Derrick Henry, it's really, really hard to stop this offense. And if they can set up the play action and the bootlegs with Ryan Tannehill, good luck. Honestly, I'm going to go Titans in this one.
So, actually, I was going to pick the Titans initially, 2 days ago. I was like, I'm picking Tennessee, actually. I got the upset, right? And then I was like, man, Aaron Rodgers is really good, and that Titans secondary blows. And sure, the Packers defense isn't good against physical football teams, but this isn't a complete physical football team that they're playing against in Tennessee. Their offense is physical. Their defense is not.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I think even if Derrick Henry has a big day, I think Aaron Rodgers has a big day. And to me, the elite quarterback having a big day is a bigger issue than the elite running back having a big day. So I expect this to be a high-scoring fest where, Derrick Henry runs all over the place and Tannehill makes some plays, but I also think Aaron Jones has a big day and Rodgers has a 3-touchdown, 0 interception kind of day. I'm picking Green Bay.
And that's fair. I think we're in for probably what might be the best Sunday night football game of the year.
Sunday
night
should be fun. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really good game, especially the days following Christmas. So
all right, so Monday Night Football. It's going to be the 6-8 Patriots versus the 11-3 Bills. The Bills, I believe, clinch the NFC East if they win this. I think they clinch the number 2 seed actually if they win this week.
Didn't they? Wait, the Bills already won the NFC East.
I'm sorry, the AFC East, not NFC East. AFC East. My
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Did they? Oh, yes, they did.
Yeah,
because it's the first time in
they
25 years. I think, okay, so it's the number 2 seed that they clinched this week then.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have tiebreakers over the Colts and the Steelers. They would just need the Chiefs to lose their next 2 games for them to actually beat the Chiefs for the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
So they need KC to lose their next 2 games. Not likely to happen. But
Right.
they essentially lock up the number 2 seed here with the win. I think the Bills have a ton to play for. Patriots are officially eliminated from the playoffs. Bill Belichick's going to try, I think. I don't think he's going to lose for the sake of draft picks. That's very Bill Belichickian to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to. I think there's a lot of pride he has. And also Cam Newton has stated, I think it was on Instagram, he posted saying, there's a lot of players on the team who are not used to the Patriot way, and he said, and that includes me. He's like, I did not live up to the expectations of coach, the team, or whatnot. And he's like, and I still have 2 games left to prove that I am good enough for the Patriot way. So Newton is still motivated. So I think there's enough for the Patriots to try and make this interesting, but in the end, their roster isn't good enough to keep up with the Bills and how good Josh Allen is this year. So Josh Allen just wins this game, right, for the Bills, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I got the Buffalo all the way here.
All right, cool. So that wraps it up for us. By the way, we are at an hour and a half, which is usually our goal. So we made it.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. So you can follow us on Twitter at HCAnalyst. You can follow me on Twitter at HCJCSanders. And you can follow Pardue at HC_Pardue. Is there anything for the rest of this week that you got?
No, I don't think so. Obviously, it's only Tuesday, so pretty slow in terms of news. So I hope everybody has a good Christmas or whatever holiday you're celebrating, and, stay healthy, stay smart, have a good one, and enjoy this week of football.
Alrighty. Everyone, again, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and if you don't celebrate it, have a happy holidays and a wonderful New Year. See you guys next week.